Nirmal is one-time AWS certified cloud engineer, and he is currently working as a cloud engineering intern. I'm handing over to Nirmal now. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Nirmal, go ahead.
Okay. So thank you so much for your kind introduction. But let me give you a short intro of mine. As you know, I am Nirmal Chhodvadiya. I am currently working as a cloud engineer intern at AppGambit company, which is an APN company, AWS partner network. There are only 26 companies in Gujarat who is having that APN partner title. Along Along with that, I am a 1x AWS certified, means I have cleared first AWS certification in January 2020. And apart from this cloud thing and all, I am a Google crowdsource influencer for the Surat city and one of the top contributor for that as well. So with that, let's start with our topic, how to learn any cloud platform as a student. So I want to start with this beautiful quote that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The idea is to putting this quote here to convey the message that I'm also, waiting for the perfect time, and I'm thinking about that whenever I will have the perfect presentation skills, perfect communication skills, and then I will be able to make a good session. But what I have over the time realized that you don't have to be if you always think about that perfect time will come, so it will never come. By the way, what what you have to do is you have to just get started with whatever what you have, and with the process you will learn a lot of things. So with that, let's move to the next slide. So today we cover different kind of topics like what is cloud, what are the different cloud service providers, why we have to learn cloud, from where we can learn cloud. I will also talk about different certification from the different cloud providers, and also what are some of the different roles and job opportunities if you have the cloud skills. And along with that, I will also give some bonus tips so how you can excel your portfolio. Okay, so let's move to the next. Many of you are familiar with this incident. We probably know that, which I put the right side of the images from the last World Cup we had. We lost from the New Zealand in the cricket match. The idea here is to putting that image over here is to simply that I don't know whether you are able to see that green mark over here, which shows the 25.3 million live users. So in that time, Hotstar make a record of that. There are 25.3 million viewer in the single platform. Look at the numbers. I mean, 25.3 million viewers means that 2 crore or 53 lakhs or something concurrent user on a particular single platform. So just think about that how much infrastructure they need to handle this large amount or tremendous amount of traffic. I mean, if they use the physical infrastructure, they have to manage a lot of things. But because of the cloud, they are using cloud services. They are using. They are, by the way, they are using AWS, and apart from that, there are also various streaming other platform. Netflix, we are also aware of that. It is also using AWS and all other the cloud services. So the idea is here that so much of and we are talking about streaming services. This is not something that we are streaming in 144p, right? We are definitely we are uh, seeing that or watching that stream with the 1080p or 720p. So just put to context over here, if we just think about our university result site, if we look at our experience with that, I mean, we are not capable enough to handle this thousands of traffic as well. We have many times we found that there is some kind of crash over there, and because of that, if and by the way, they are also using AWS, but still there are certain things that as a customer that you have to manage. We will talk about that. So with that, I just want to give you some context over here. So everything is possible due to the large power of the power of infrastructure and the compute power that is now it is available to us. So I don't want to bore you with the old-fashioned, definition like what is compute, what is storage, and what is network. But having said that, just brief over that, because whatever I will be talking about, that is not something different. Basic fundamentals of the IT resources that never change. We are just putting abstraction layer over the time. So if we know that, if we look at our computer, we have some of the computer power. We call it as a CPU, the brain of computer, and you all know that, right? So compute we need for some kind of processing power. It carries out some of the instruction from the computer program to run certain kind of programs. And storage we need to install our operating system. Based upon that, we are running different kind of applications. Network resources we need to connect with the other devices within the network, within over the different devices, right? So these are the basic IT resources we have talked about. Let's move to the next. So I have put this, what is cloud? So in context, or to put this image is, what if I told you that there is no cloud, it's just someone else's computer? Meaning that cloud is not something different technology or something that we have to learn from, as a different mindset or different perspective. It is something that we are accessing the IT resources, as we talked about earlier, compute, storage, and network over the internet. So it is not something that it is a completely new thing and we have to learn from a different perspective. So according to Wikipedia, if we search about this term cloud computing, so what is that? So cloud computing is a on-demand availability of compute system resources. As we now know that what are the compute resources available to us, that is compute, storage, and network. If we talk about the physical hardware, in the left side picture I want to show you, we already aware of that. In the physical hardware or physical server, what we have CPU, RAM, some of IO operations. This, apart from that, on top of that, we have the operating system and we are running application. So these are the physical hardware. We have, it's called a single tenant, right? It means that for the single user, we are only able to use single hardware. If more than one user want to use same hardware at the same time, it is not possible. So over the time, we have concept of something called virtualization and virtualization of virtual machine. So in the right side, I want to show you something. So we have the same physical hardware, right? It is not a different. We have the same physical hardware, that is CPU. We have resources like CPU, RAM, IO, disk. But what we are doing differently here, that we are using something called hypervisor. That allows us to create hardware virtualization. Means that it allows us to run different kind of operating system on the same physical hardware. So we are basically we are doing the partitioning of the our entire physical hardware. So in each virtual machine we have different OS. We can run different application on the top of that. So what changed from left side to right side? The only thing that changed here, we are using now the same single hardware with the multiple user can use, because we have the multiple virtual machine, and on the top of that we are running multiple application. So with that we call it as a multi-tenant architecture. So cloud is basically use something like this. Whenever you are creating instance using any cloud provide service from the cloud service providers, there basically you are creating a virtual machine on top of the on the base of the physical hardware. The physical hardware is not ours; it is from the cloud provider. We are just using the virtual machine and instance of that part of that machines. So I just want to take some brief overview regarding the hypervisor. Here we have, there are two types of mainly hypervisor available. First is bare metal architecture and second is a hosted architecture. Previously we have seen that is a first type 1 hypervisor. So the difference between two of the hypervisor is that the host OS and the hypervisor is the same. The reason is called the reason behind it's called the bare metal architecture is because this is something, the physical hardware what we have, we are directly using hypervisor on the top of that physical hardware, and due to that we are able to create some kind of virtual machines, right? On the right side we have the type 2 hypervisor, means hosted architecture. So what we are doing here, in the hardware we have some of the predefined host operating system, and on the top of that we are using hypervisor, and then we are able to create instances. I think we are relate with this kind of type 2 hypervisor, because we kind of use the the same Windows computer. We have used the virtual VMware workstation to use to install our Ubuntu or Linux operating system. Basically, the bare metal architecture provides more performance over the Type 2, and over the time, AWS and other cloud platform have developed Type 1 hypervisor. They are currently using a KVM, that's called kernel virtual machine based hypervisor. So it gives it's basically Type 1 hypervisor, and they are providing more performance on top of the virtual machine. So now, what are some of the different cloud service providers what we have? So as we seen that cloud computing is not just different thing. They are if we personally talk about the AWS or Amazon Web Service, we can relate with that. Amazon, we know that Amazon have e-commerce business or across the globe. They are having the customer from around the world, right? So they have to create some kind of infrastructure to manage their customer from the all over across the world. So what they have did, the infrastructure they have built, they build data centers and all that stuff over the world, so they can, availability of their Amazon e-commerce business is always 24 into 7, and more kind of features they can provide you. So apart from that, what they have did, they know that whatever the infrastructure they have built across the world, the same time, not all the resources they have configure or all of the data center they have built that will be used. So in the reserve capacity, what they did, whatever they need for the backup infrastructure, they take from that, and whatever the rest it is available. So they introduce with a different kind of model that we can call it as a pay as you go model. It simply means that they are providing as a rental model. They are providing their IT resources with some kind of rent service. So with that, we have a top 3 cloud service provider by far now. The number 1 is AWS, who is leading from past 9 to 10 years in the cloud domain. And in the second position, we have the Microsoft Azure, and third, the Google Cloud Platform, that is GCP. Apart from these 3, we have the Alibaba Cloud and the IBM Cloud as well. So what are the different types of cloud computing? So we mainly have 3 types of cloud computing that you will heard about that. Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. So difference behind this all of 3 is power of administration power or the infrastructure power that give. So in the infrastructure as a service, what they are giving, basically AWS is giving resources full of the control sorry full control over the customer, those who are using infrastructure as a service, meaning that you have the whole control over their infrastructure. Means you can configure all kind of different kind of compute power, memory power, or storage, and all that stuff. They are giving more flexibility to choose a different instance and all that stuff. In the platform as a service, we have Heroku, Beanstalk, and App Engine. I might be, you might have heard about Heroku. Heroku is basically a platform as a service that you don't have to worry about the infrastructure, what kind of infrastructure you need to configure. You just I will also recommend you to whatever you have the project in the GitHub. So if you not deployed yet, so you can use Heroku to deploy that, because it's good to have the live project rather than just showing someone to just code, right? So you will definitely check out how you can deploy your application or whatever your hobby projects into the Heroku. So Heroku is a platform as a service. Same with the Beanstalk. Beanstalk is a AWS service in which you just have to provide your source code or application, and whatever the infrastructure they require, it will manage by itself. Service itself will take care of what kind of infrastructure you need for that particular program or the software, and it will configure for that. Apart from that, we have software as a service. Software as a service, we have the various ready to use directly. We can use that application like the Slack. Slack is basically in the most of the company collaboration tool. They are using the Slack. for the different kind of announcement and all the project related stuff. And we also might have used that Dropbox and Google apps. I mean, everyone have used the Google Maps, right? So it is the part of a software as a service, meaning that they are using in behind the scenes cloud services or cloud computing. So with that, I also want to clear some of the things that what is public cloud, what is private cloud, and what is hybrid cloud. Public cloud meaning that the AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, IBM, meaning that you can use that services with the use of internet. I mean, you can configure any compute resources, any network resources, or any database resources that you want. You just need one internet and one AWS or any kind of cloud provider's account, and you can create that. Meaning that it is accessible to all. So that's why it's called public cloud. Private cloud is something that it's depend on the organization, and in on a particular organization build entire infrastructure. They have to manage from the power supply to the server and all that stuff. We will look at in what kind of different responsibility for each of that cloud. And hybrid cloud means that we are using some part of a public cloud and some part of a private cloud. So if we are using a different kind of cloud computing model, so what are some of the responsibilities that we have to take care of? So whatever you are seeing the green box, meaning that customer is responsible for that. I mean that as a customer, we have to manage this kind of stuff. And whatever the blue box that you are seeing, that the cloud provider have to manage. So if we look at the private cloud, as I told earlier, meaning that you have to configure all of that. You are responsible all of that storage, server devices, power supply, networking, virtualization, operating system, meaning that you are the responsible person for using this all of kind of meaning. It simply means that you have to create from zero to everything. It is basically on-premises infrastructure. Then we have the infrastructure as a service. So here are the public cloud platform and cloud service providers come. So it uses the shared responsibility model, means some of the responsibility as a customer that you have to manage, and some of the responsibility comes under the cloud service providers. Like, so whatever your data center, your server, your storage, your virtualization, your power supply, that all of this comes under. If you use the infrastructure as a service, all this responsibility comes under a cloud service provider, and you just have, as a customer, you just have to manage what operating system that you are running on that particular instance or that resources, what kind of runtime that you are using, and what application and what function. We recently seen some of the crisis related to our university mock exam. So I just want to briefly touch that as well. Our university is also using AWS. You can find that entire case study if you want to read how they are using. The meaning that using trending technology that doesn't give you the whole kind of security that you want. So if your business logic, if your software having not kind of any the limitation, like what sort of traffic that you have to eliminate, what kind of security mechanism that you have to set, that comes under as a customer. So as a customer, we have to manage that, how our software allows the traffic, what kind of user they can access. So we can't blame just cloud provider or anything, that even if we are using any cloud services. So that's it. And as a platform as a service, as we seen, we directly use some of the platform that are the Heroku and Beanstalk, meaning that you don't have to configure any of that. You just deploy your project and you can run with that. Function as a service I want to talk about, it is something called serverless, meaning that serverless, that doesn't mean it doesn't run on server. Simply this means that you don't have to configure and you don't have to worry about what kind of server you are configuring. Means that it is a one layer abstraction above than the cloud computing. So it is also quite popular. Next, we have the software as a service. We are directly using ready to use software for our need. So with that, we will look this some of the what are the vital advantages of the cloud computing. So there are there are total five cloud computing major advantage why the company is choosing cloud computing over the physical infrastructure. So first one is that is OpEx model, meaning that what will happen with the physical infrastructure that problem with that, you have to initially invest a lot of money. Even you don't know whether you will survive in the business or not. So it's something like I want to give a small example over here. Like if you have some kind of job that you constantly you don't know where your relocation will be, so you need to constantly change your location as per your job requirement. So it is feasible to use what you are using for as a house. We use that as a rent model. Rather than investing a lot of money in each cities to buy our own house, we can simply use the house at the rental model. So this is something in the company as well. Like for the whatever the infrastructure they need, previously what they have to do, they have to uh, wait for the physical infrastructure to set up. They have to spend huge amount of money to build that infrastructure, and after that they have no guarantee they will survive in this business, right? So most of the startups are based upon they are extensively using cloud services and cloud providers. Then second number of advantage we have, that is economy of scale. The cloud service provider that we are using, their scalability and their infrastructure, if you look at, it is all around across the globe they have built, and over the time they have built. So you can take benefit from that massive infrastructure with just rental model. Then we have the next, no capacity planning. I mean, you in the physical infrastructure, what the problem with that? You don't know what kind of capacity you need. Again, I want to give some of the example. Like if we have a website, we are having some of we call it as xyz.com. We have the e-commerce website, right? And we don't know what kind of traffic we will get within certain period of time. So if we want to give like the Amazon sale or some kind of sale, so we never know. We can't predict in advance at what kind of traffic we will get. So what kind of infrastructure or what kind of resources we have to configure for our site. I mean, if you fail at configuring your resources and customer find out your site is crashing due to some of the um, what they you have what you have assumed for the capacity, and over the capacity, if you are using the customer, they are using your site will be crashed. So you need certain kind of infra, capacity planning or infrastructure that depends on the traffic. I mean, if you are using cloud computing, they have the mechanism of call auto scaling group. Basically, what auto scaling group is does, if you have deploy your service in the cloud, so you can create a virtual instance or virtual machine based upon what kind of traffic you are required. Meaning that if you can provide certain kind of limit or certain kind of threshold, that if the customer traffic is crossed that certain threshold, new infrastructure automatically configured by your cloud provider. So with that, you will never have the problem of crashing the website and stuff like that. So next, that is a faster delivery. I mean, if you are having one debit card or anything, you can configure any big large amount of instance as well within just movement. If you have the account, if you just need one account for creating any massive infrastructure, even if you need rapid expansion. I mean, you can easily create, as I said previously, you can create multiple instances within shorter period of time. Within seconds, you can create. If we have time, we will also look at small demo over here. We are creating a Microsoft server using AWS. So, so far we have looked at the what is cloud computing, what are different models. So now the question comes that why we have to learn cloud. So as a putting over the context here that I am inevitable means it is simply means that no matter in which IT segment you will be working on within 1 or 2 years or within 3 years, cloud will become part of your day-to-day journey, because the way the adoption that mid-level company or large enterprise, they are using the cloud extensively. So you have to learn. So you have choices, like either you can learn and build your profile with the cloud now, or you will have to learn by the time. So it's better we can learn now. So I just want to add some of the few facts over here. Why should you have to learn? So it is a Udemy data 2020. We have the survey over here, and it comes under one of the 10 2020 skills that you need to have. AWS certification holds the sixth number, and I have just recently taken this diagram and photo from the O'Reilly, which is a very famous for the resources and the books and all that stuff. Cloud adoption in 2020. So what this chart is showing that in the left side we have the company size that have the employee from 1 to 100 and from the 10,000 plus, and the kind of their application in the cloud we can showing the y-axis, that is from 0 to 60%. So me idea over here here it is a 17% of the company was having a largest company, I would say more than 10,000 plus employees, they have 100% application in the cloud. Means 17% of the entire company from the IT have the 100% cloud based application. So look at that numbers. I mean, even this, if you look at the small small kind of company or emerging startup, they are also having around 35 to 39% of the entire application into the cloud. So it is good to have a certain kind of basic skills for the cloud. So some of the resources I have added here, which are completely free. If you are starting, if you have no idea what is clouds and how you can learn about that, I have put some of the very essential resources that I know from the last 1 year. I'm using that different kind of resources, and I have compiled these resources from that. So first of all, you can use that first resources. It is come from the AWS Training Learning Library. Let me show you. So if you go to this site, you can use that. You can create your account with your Gmail, and it is a free course, and it is just a 1 hour course. You can, and this course is built by the official AWS experts, and in that you will learn about lots of basic and fundamental thing about what I have talked about, and they are, it is more clear if you do this course, right? So apart from that, I have also include two more resources for the AWS. I have the second number of resources is from the Andrew Brown, who is a AWS serverless hero from the 2020, and he is also having a paid resources, paid level of quality resources. They provide you within with the use of YouTube. You can use that free. And this is also one of the great resources for the AWS. It is a Knowledge India YouTube channel. From that, you can learn various, you can gain some of the practical experience of how you can use the specific services. So I also want to add here this AWS Educate thing. AWS Educate is a platform for for the students like us that want to learn about the cloud, and apart from that, they have the various what we can say a job role, that how which are the different job roles and how you can leverage the cloud services. I want to show you my account so you can get more clear idea for that. So this is what AWS Educate platform is look like. You have the variety of career path, meaning that we have this kind of different roles, jobs available in the market. Like you can, if you want, you can, start that as well. Web development engineer, solution architect, software development, machine learning scientist. So all of these resources are absolutely free. You can, leverage this. That they have specified this uh, courses with that how you are using the core services or the AWS services within that your role, within that your, day-to-day responsibilities. So you can also explore this. And apart from, I'm just don't want to give the AWS resources, that are the Azure and the cloud, GCP cloud is also resources I have included. You can check out if you want to explore that as well. So let's come to the certification part. Put the, I have put this image because we normal what people have the mindset, if I have passed the certification exam, I'm kind of big deal. No, it's not, because certification do not equate to experience or mastery or competence. It just validate your skill for the particular time you have the validate your skill, meaning that it doesn't, equate that you have the experience of production level experience and stuff like that. So we look at different AWS certifications. What are some of the AWS certification available right now? There are total 12 AWS certification available now. I have cleared just one fundamental one, that is AWS Cloud Practitioner. There are still lots of learning and lots of certification available. I want to tell you that each certification, it's not a free certification, is a kind of exam there, and it comes with the exam cost. I mean, for the cloud practitioner, you have to pay $100 exam fee for just to, give that exam. And it's also certification also comes with the condition that you only get certificate if you qualify, if you pass that exam with the 70% or more with that, meaning that you will have the 65 MCQ type questions, and it's a total score of that is 1000, and you need to score more than 700. So depending upon your learning, based upon that, you can choose any of this various segment certification. You can start with the fundamental one, that is AWS CCP, which covers only the basic and core functionality and the core parts, more focus on the billing part. And if you have the more experience, you can look forward to the associate level certification. These are the solution architect, system administration, and developer. So there are various AWS certification available. We know that, but as a student, I would definitely not to recommend anyone to, pay some of the extensive exam cost, because if you are interested into the cloud computing, and if you have the right skill, and meaning that if you already know that how can you leverage some of the services, some of the core services, so you don't need to certify it, and you don't need to pay one. I'm talking about just fundamental certificate, which exam cost is $100 USD, right? Associate level certification exam cost having 150 US dollar, and the professional comes with the $300, meaning that if you convert into the Indian rupees, associate for the associate, you need to pay around 15,000 rupees. So for just giving the exam, and whether you and it is also, you have to see, you have to understand that the exam, which is not kind of exam that we are habitual of, reading within the 2 or 3 weeks, and we are easily passed. The reason behind this, AWS and other cloud provide the certification value, because the AWS itself conducting, because it's having their own values and standard. They are maintaining standards, so that's why their international validation is approved, because it's not something that you will learn within a few weeks and you are just passing the certification. So meaning that why you have to spend 15,000 rupees on the risk of that? Well, it's not you are sure about that whether you will be qualified or not. So as a student, I would definitely recommend start with the courses or the resources. Don't do the certification thing. Certification things, if you want to do and career into your career. So I would like to tell you that many of, if your job is something on the cloud, your employer will be paid for your certification. They will encourage you and they will pay 100% of your fees depending upon your employer policy. So we have the various Azure certification as well. So the AWS certification for the fundamental one, as it is a cloud practitioner. For the Azure, they have the Azure 900. I don't have any kind of experience with the Azure, but just I have put this slide. There are various certification available in Azure, in the GCP as well. Most people who are learning GCP, they start with the associate cloud engineer. So all that certification comes with the exam cost. None of them are free. You have to pay for the exam cost and certain conditions that you have to pass with certain marks. Then only you are able to get the certificate. And each certification has a validation period. I mean, if you qualified for one certification, it will valid for the next 3 years. Okay, so now let's talk about the different roles and job opportunities. So as a fresher, if you are having a cloud skills or basic mobile development, mobile application development or web development, or even if you are doing something in AI or ML and you are leveraging the cloud services, you have you can apply for some of the job as a fresher as well. One of the very first one, that is a cloud software engineer. So in which what you have to do, simply you just whatever you are preferable with the language or programming language. So you have to build software and products based upon the cloud services, and you are able to create that software whichever your favorite, or you are comfortable with any of programming language. Next, that is operational support engineer. Normally operational support engineer day-to-day job is to supporting the deployment part, meaning that you have to, as a operation support engineer, your role is to just help in the deployment part. You are not responsible for development. Cloud architect is something that it is not for the freshers, by the way. Cloud architect role comes with the duty of you have to know the various cloud services, and based upon that you have to provide the solution for that product, that what kind of service that you have to use for your software or your business logic. And one of them, that is a DevOps engineer, is also quite famous for recently. DevOps, it's also I would say a experienced person job. It's not that someone fresher can apply for that, but you can try for different kind of internship roles, and you can take leverage from that. So apart from that, I would also like to give some of the bonus tips. If you are currently not using a Meetup app, so do definitely check out this Meetup app. Why I am specifically, encouraging you to download this Meetup app? Because of the Meetup app, we have in the different kind of communities in our local areas in Surat city, or whatever city you are in. You can join this community and you can attend this virtual events. I mean, here and there they have so many various communities are currently available. Python community, AWS community, GDG community, web development, WordPress. So you can learn from that. Apart from that, you can, whatever you are building the projects, and you can do your in the 21st century, it's not just enough to having some of the skill. You also have to know that how you can build your public profile. If you are skilled at something, people should know that you are good at something, then will the opportunity will come. So you can document your journey, whatever you are building your hobby projects. You can obviously make a video of that. You can post in the LinkedIn and also in the GitHub and all that stuff. So build your online presence for as a developer, as a that. And one of the very interesting thing the recently started, that is 100 days of cloud. If someone of you are already aware of that, I might you might be aware of that. That is 100 days of code, which is similar to the 100 days of cloud, in which what you are doing, you are daily spending some of the time to learning about cloud. You have the community for that. You can join that with that 100 days of cloud site, and you will learn about lots of things during this your entire journey. And they have also kind of put all of the resources that from where you can start, what kind of rules is there. Just check out that. So some of the people that you can follow and reachable if you have any kind of doubts within the cloud segment, from the AWS to GCP to all of that, you might want to connect with these people. They are happy to help you. So now let's come to the demo part. So this is what I have created one account with AWS Amazon Web Services, and we have the variety of different services available to us. I mean, look at different kind of categories. You have the robotics, you have the developer tools, you have the machine learning, various services available to use. So I just want to start with the very basic one. I just want to create a compute resources, compute instance, how you can create with that. My profile, I would definitely not recommend you to create your account directly with your account if you are new to AWS or any kind of stuff, because the reason behind that, if you forget to terminate your services or instances, you will get paid for that. And while creating your account, you have to submit your payment details, so it is not something that they will ask you before charging for you, from deduct money from your PAN. So we are creating one EC2 instance, which is Elastic Compute Cloud. So you can see that it is an EC2 console, and there are no running instances currently available. So we are creating one Windows Microsoft Windows server. So you can create with this. So very first step is to clear. Very step one is the AMI. AMI means Amazon Machine Image, which is simply means that they are giving the instance. So what kind of different operating system, what kind of application you need with that kind of instance. So for that we are using the AMI. So all of that you are looking there. This is a free tier eligible, means you can use without any cost. So we will create this instance, which is free tier eligible. So I don't have to pay anything for AWS for that. So we are selecting our Microsoft instance, and we are look at the different kind of family for the instance are currently available. Meaning that general purpose available. It's normally we seen that even with the general purpose category or family, we have variety of options with the instance type. Each instance type having a different kind of workload and suitable for different kind of application what you are using. Meaning that even with the general purpose, you have the variety of type. Look at that T2 nano, micro, all of the T-shirt size, I would say. Look at the category, it's still general purpose. I mean that there are various instance family for the compute optimized. It is if your workload is some of the compute optimized, like you need IO operation more. So for that kind of resources, you have to create that kind of instance. So depending on your workload, you have to create your instance, which is basically EC2 is simply that it's come with a server. With the instance family, you can choose that what kind of workload you have and what kind of you can configure this instance. So number of instances we want to create one. For the network, we go with the default selection. VPC is something that virtual private cloud, meaning that they are providing some sort of private network. So within that you can create your resources. So we are further divided VPC into the subnet. We are using the default subnet. Subnet meaning so meaning of the subnet means that you have the group of the IP you can attach with your resources. So we go with the basic and the default settings. Now we are adding storage. So we are also adding a persistent storage called EBS, Elastic Block Storage, and we are using the general purpose SSD. And EBS is something that it is normally what we call we have in the SSD or HDD in our computer, something similar to that what we have in the cloud, that is EBS. So it requires EBS because if you change the instance state, meaning that if you are stopping instances and you are again starting, so you will lose your entire data if you are not attached to persistent storage or any kind of this with your instances. So we will this last step is to review all of the configuration that you have did, whether it is right or not. So we can launch with that. So this is something interesting. It uses some kind of encryption technique that we have also learned in our 7th semester or 8th semester, which is using a public key and private key for the encryption. And I will be creating a new key pair, and I will give the name is test, and I will download that key pair. And with that, we are launching the instances. So within few seconds, you are able to launch your instances, and you can just start deploy whatever you want to deploy in your server. So let's talk about something different option. Availability zone is something that 2 or 3 discrete data center which are connected, which are isolated from each other, but they are connected with a low latency link. So if there is something called there are two concepts over there. Means there is region and availability zone. Regions is simply means that geographical location in which cloud providers have their 2 or 3 different availability zones, and particular in single availability zone, they have 2 or 3 discrete data center where they are providing you the infrastructure from there. So all of that infrastructure they are responsible. So now our instance state is running, and we can log into that instance, and we can access that instance, but still there is some kind of status checks are remaining. Basically there are 2 types of status check it's doing, that whether it's available or not. So we have to wait for that. So while it is in initializing state, I would like to give some of the answer if you have any kind of questions. So please.
So anybody have questions about the session? You can write in the chat or unmute yourself.
So let's try to connect our instance that we have created. We have to download this report text file, and we got this username and password. We need to log in at our instances. So with that, you have to choose a file from whatever the keypad that you have downloaded. You have to submit over here. So this is something you need for to connect with your instances. So let's connect our instance. So we have to give a password for that. So this is what Microsoft Windows Server looks like. It is very similar to a laptop or desktop that we are currently using. So this is how you can create the instance. You can connect with the instance, and you can use for your based upon whatever you want, how you want to use. You can deploy your services. You can deploy your whatever your projects and all that stuff using this Microsoft server, or you can have the multiple option. By the way, you can also deploy your services and all that stuff to the Linux server as well. But this is how this is what how looks like Microsoft Windows servers, and we are currently logging from the AWS infrastructure that what they have provided. We have created one Microsoft Microsoft instance, and we are logged into that. So this is how it makes it's simple. Like, I don't have to buy anything. I don't have to create any physical infrastructure. I can create within the moment, within seconds, and I can just focus on my business logic, and I don't have to worry about any kind of physical infrastructure or stuff like that. So okay, so from that's it from the my side. If you have any question, please let me know. And if you still have a question, and if you want to get started, and if you want to ask something to me, you can reach out to me in LinkedIn, Nirmal Chhodvadiya, and of course in the Twitter as well. So that's it from the my side. Thank you so much for having me. And even if in the Sunday you are attending this event, it's good. Thank you so much.
Nirmal,
Hmm.
yes, so there is a one request from Keyur Panchal that he's saying that please share all the links that you have mentioned in the PPT.
Yeah, I will definitely share this PPT, and along with that, I will also share one of the dedicated text file for that completely, which mention all of the resources.
હેલો નિર્મલ
Hello.
આ એક ક્વેશ્ચન એવો છે કે જે કોઈ પણ અમારા જુનિયર છે કે કોઈ અમારી સાથે જે ભણતા હોય તે છે કે અમારા યર વાળા એ કઈ પણ સમયે ચાલુ કરે કે ભાઈ મારે આજથી ક્લાઉડ નું મારે ચાલુ કરવું છે, તો એવા કયા કઈ વસ્તુ હોય કે જે
What are
ટ્રાય
the
ડેફિનેટલી ટ્રાય કરવી જોઈએ એને ક્લાઉડમાં? કેમ કે
prerequisites or
કીધું કે VMware કરવું જોઈએ, તો કંઈક વેબસાઇટ હોસ્ટિંગ કરવી જોઈએ, ડેટાબેઝ મેનેજ કરવા જોઈએ, તો એવી કઈ કઈ એસેન્શિયલ થિંગ છે કે એકવાર તો ટ્રાય કરવી જ જોઈએ ક્લાઉડ સામે?
I would definitely recommend some of the common basic services like the EC2, S3, meaning that EC2 Elastic Compute Cloud, simple storage service, VPC and all that stuff that you need to know in because it uses every service it is using the VPC and subnet. So before directly jump into cloud, I would definitely recommend that if you have some kind of a networking concept, if you did some clear on your networking concept, it will benefit. Definitely, it will help you. And I understand your question that what are the some of the essential service that you have to try? I would definitely try to mention here that use the S3 because using S3 can do a lots of things. Simple storage service. You can even host your portfolio static website without any kind of use, without any kind of hosting plan. It's already free. You can use. You can make the most out of the free tier. Uh, Many of services are already free. You just have to know that what kind of different services we can use. AWS S3, EC2, route table, NSCL, right? So this is the free tier services. All of this is you for that you don't have to pay anything for that. You can use without any kind of fear to get charged for that. But you have to make sure that whatever service that you are using for, let's say we are using compute service, so you need to know that they are not giving entire compute service and all of that compute services are free. They are giving the 750 hour, which basically per month, it's basically if you convert into the days, 30 days per month, they are giving the free services. But free tier having comes with a certain limitation. I mean, they are not giving every instances or instances type. They are giving just T2.micro or T3.micro free. So you can use any of these mentioned services. You can use a various Dynamo, you can use a various database services like the RDS, DynamoDB, NoSQL or something. You can also make some kind of robots with the SageMaker. You can use AWS Lambda. You definitely check out AWS Lambda. So these are so many, there are various services which are available to us as in free tier. So we can use that. I mean, just look at list. You have the different variety of product for the AR, VR. You have the database. You have the analytics service. You also have the migration service, media services. You can check out. You can check out machine learning. So all of that, most of them from the services which are the managed service. I mean, you can easily, you know, learn. You can use that services because behind the scene, AWS have make a lot of done a lot of work behind the scene. So you just have to uh, focus on your business logic. Some of the storage services you can also look at that. CloudFront also you can check out that if you are having a latency problem with your loading your website. So CloudFront is basically a content distribution website. So what it does simply your whatever your resources or whatever your website resources are there, it will distribute to the various data center or data center not data center. It will distribute your content to the edge location. So what kind of benefit we have with the edge location? So if I have deployed my website into the US or US East or any different you know availability zone or something, even within the wherever I have put wherever I have deployed my website, if someone from outside of the world want to access my website, and it will feel some kind of latency problem. I mean, it needs more than enough time to load my website. So you can definitely check out CloudFront. They are also having CloudFront with some kind of WordPress services as well, and you can definitely make use this service. So anything else?
Any questions? So we're not getting any question. We should end it here, Nirmal. I think so.
Okay, fine. I just want to tell you something that if you want to get started with AWS or any cloud service platform, whenever you create your account, you have to give your debit card information, right? So make sure whatever the service that you are, trying and exploring different thing, just don't forget to turn or terminate these services, because you never know what how much amount of payment you have to, it will directly detect from your bank account, because you already have given the bank details to them. So before using any your personal account for the cloud services, I would definitely recommend create some sort of alert with the where in the all of the cloud service provider, they have the cloud alarms for that, meaning that if you are certain, if you are crossing something more than your budget, or what kind, if you set already predefined your budget, I mean, I want to only just spend $5 or $2 with this my entire account, so you get the alert from the email. So before you want to directly jumpstart into your AWS account, I would definitely recommend to create some sort of this kind of stuff, that cloud watch alarms and the budget.
Okay, then we are ending the session now. We are not getting any questions. So you can leave.
Fine. Yeah.
Everybody can leave. Nirmal, you can stay.
Yes.
Everybody else can leave.